IGN's Rewind Theater, brought to you by Animation Domination High Def. Premieres Saturday, July 27th, 11:10 Central on Fox.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Rewind Theater for the Batman Arkham Origins Copperhead debut. I'm Greg Miller, alongside IGN's Big Cheese, Steve Butts.
Hello, Greg.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
I'm good.
Oh, man. Now, you're here with me for a couple reasons. Number one, huge comic book fan. Everybody knows Steve Butts. Everybody knows Steve loves these damn comic books.
Right.
They know I love the comic books. However, when I was doing this live show at Comic-Con, you got to go see the Batman Arkham Origins panel where they debuted this trailer. They debuted Copperhead. They said, there's going to be this Copperhead character in there, and Troy Baker was up there, and he's like, I'm not voicing it. That's crazy.
It is a lady, so that'd be a stretch for Troy.
Well, you know, Troy's got range. He's also kind of has the look of Copperhead here.
Sure, yeah. So this is our first glimpse of Copperhead here, that figure seated in the chair.
Sure.
We didn't really know who it was because they introduced this trailer without really any preliminary discussion.
Oh, really? They were just like, we're going to have a new character?
We got this new thing. And, yeah, there she is, Copperhead. So if you know Copperhead's a super old villain from the Batman universe.
Right, debuted in The Brave and the Bold, number 78, June 1968.
So this character is older even than me.
No. That's
believe
impossible.
Believe it or
that
not.
For a second.
But this is a different take on the character. The guy said, you know, we wanted, obviously, to add more females to the roster, and so we thought Copperhead was a good deal. The original Copperhead, sort of a snake-like person, right?
Right. He was originally, all we ever knew him as, which I found interesting, was John Doe. Never had a secret identity from him. He was a contortionist in a snake suit. He later sold his soul to then get snake-like powers and abilities. There was another guy before they rebooted everything, but he was really brief in Teen Titans. The New 52 Copperhead is an anthropomorphic snake man who's actually running around there biting stuff.
But it's interesting because Geoff Johns, who was at this panel, who's a big guy over at DC, obviously,
I've heard of him once or twice,
said he liked this version of the character so much that this is the character who's coming to the New 52 after the game is released.
Interesting. That's awesome. That's really, really cool.
Which has been some precedent on that. I know the Batman the Animated Series obviously introduced a couple of characters or some takes on some characters that made their way into the actual core continuity of the comic books.
Harley Quinn was originally made up for the animated series. And stuff like that.
And their take on Mr. Freeze, like the way that character is designed now, is part of Batman's regular.
I always wanted them to take the Schwarzenegger one.
Yeah.
What's interesting, though, you know, we're going to go through this trailer, obviously, with a fine-tooth comb, but with the original Copperhead, right, when they talked about it, is that his old suit, he had these fangs in it that had a neurotoxin derived from Copperhead snakes that would paralyze instantly or cause death in 30 seconds. And it seems to be that's what she does to Batman here. And again, we'll get to that in a second. But she also has 2 fangs on each of her fingers there, it looks like. Yeah. And then she has this little forked tongue right there.
Crazy tongue action, right?
Some people do that, Steve. I don't know if you're aware of this movement.
I don't support that. I don't support that.
I heard about it once on the Howard Stern show, of course. And
where you get all your tongue news.
Exactly, where I get all my tongue news. And what they said about it was that, you know, if you do that, you can train yourself then to operate the sides independently. To have like 2 mini tongues.
I can go the rest of my life without knowing that.
Well, now Howard Stern's in your head too. So Steve, real quick for the people just joining us, let's run it down. Black Mask, Arkham Origins. What's happening here is it's prequel to the Arkham games, you know. Black Mask here, Roman Sionis. We've seen him a million times, his name a million times in the Arkham universe. He's put out a contract on Batman. How much money?
Yeah, so it's for $50 million. Come and kill the Batman.
The Batman.
Batman here in Arkham Origins, this is a year 2 character. He's been out for about a year or 2 now, fighting mostly mobsters. He's going after the Falcones, the Maronis, sort of the early crime lords in the Batman lore, and hasn't really fully realized his role as a supervillain crime fighter, right?
Right, yeah.
So the idea is in Origins, they're going to introduce some of those folks. So you're going to get to meet sort of a first-generation version of Bane. He's not going to be the big ripped-out guy that you saw in the previous games. So you're going to get to meet the villains that Batman fights the same time he meets them for the very first time.
Right, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And Copperhead is one of the assassins, obviously here, fan favorite, right?
Deadshot.
Right.
Going a little bit further, we get our glimpse here of Deathstroke, of course, the Terminator, which they don't use enough, if you ask me.
They really don't.
No.
And he's one of these guys that, like, he is almost better at being Batman than Batman is, right? Because he has all those enhancements, right? Yeah. And so I think the idea is that Batman's going to feel a little bit underpowered coming up against some of these guys.
Which that's the point, right?
That's one of the complaints I had is looking at this character, I thought, this doesn't look like a year 2 character. This looks like the same Batman we've played in the other games. Yeah. So how are they going to depower him to make sense narratively without punishing the player?
Did they show any gameplay or talk to that at all?
No, they didn't show that. But you can see this. I mean, look, this character Copperhead is an extremely talented martial artist.
Right.
And interestingly, for this character, this is for this trailer, 3 separate motion capture artists.
Yeah, that's what you said was I thought fascinating. Is that first off you have the fighter, but then you have like you said there was a Cirque du Soleil connection here, right?
Yeah. So this sequence right here, this acrobatic bit where she's climbing down these pipes,
and like slithering through them.
They actually mocapped a Cirque du Soleil performer.
That's awesome.
Because they wanted somebody who had that. Surety of movement, right? It was like really authentic and like in command of her entire body. Then when she gets down on the floor, we're talking about like a very high-level martial artist that they motion capped to choreograph this fight scene. And you can tell, she puts her legs on him and flips around and everything.
Right. Hurricane Ranas and whatnots.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a really, really amazing fight scene, I think. And if this is indicative of what we can see in terms of gameplay, super excited to encounter this character.
You think it's true?
I don't know.
Yeah, right. Like I don't know if they have that kind. I mean, I'm sure if it's going to be one of those things you imagine, right? If you open yourself up and you don't reverse or block at the right time, then I'm sure you get an animation of that, maybe, and that's kind of cool.
Well, yeah, we know some of the ninja villains that Batman fights in this game. Just some of the regular henchmen can now counter his counters.
Right. That was a big step. Yeah.
And so I'm guessing Copperhead and some of the other villains, like maybe Deathstroke, will have those same abilities, be able to counter your counters, and so makes the fighting a little more involved, and also sells this notion that Batman's maybe not at the top of his game at this point.
Sure. Right here, it's wintry time outside. It's happening Christmas Eve. That's why there's not a lot of people on the street, except bad guys and their henchmen, who once again, yes, are wearing masks. So that's a black masked person's gang. And now this whole scene right here, this seems ripped pretty much right out of The Dark Knight. Remember?
Right? Yeah.
When he throws the guy down, he's like, aggressive expansion,
and they make the 2 guys fight to the death. Yeah.
Which is fine. Maybe it's a nod. I don't know. Now, here's something really interesting that we've seen this stuff a million times. I just noticed that's not how cigarettes work. Cigarettes don't glow unless you're sucking air through them. So
also, he has no hole in his mask.
Well, I think I gave it away because he takes it from. Well, I guess that guy doesn't have a hole in his mask either.
Right?
Huh. Some problems with why they're all smoking. I mean, you shouldn't smoke in general, kids, though, so don't worry.
The continuity on this thing is all over the place.
I enjoyed this. We talked about how, Copperhead generally not a female. She's never been a female. She's always this dude. And here, Batman makes that reference that all the files say that it's a male, but then in this little caught thing here, we get, that she knows judo, she's a contract killer, all these other things. Tattooing Central American gangs. Right there looks a lot like Black Canary from the Smallville.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a good reference. I hadn't noticed that.
Thank you. I like Smallville a lot. I don't know if I ever talked to you about that.
You never shut up about it.
That and Nashville. If you're not watching Nashville, ladies and gentlemen, you're also screwing up. There you go. Now, he has some paperwork here that I was not able to pick up in my thing there. I assume this is all about over here in the left corner, the Bat contract, and this is how she finds out about it, I imagine.
So this is sort of a tchotchke that Warner Montreal has created for this game. They actually gave away a couple of these packets at the panel. And we got to look at one, and you open it up. There's basically a black envelope in there, and you pull it out, and there's a poster that says, wanted $50 million. It's the same one I think we see elsewhere in this trailer. And then some like surveillance photos and news clippings and things like that. So it's basically meant to be the assassin packet that Black Mask sends out to everybody to solicit them to come take up his offer, $50 million, kill the Batman Christmas Eve.
So then do you think this guy is a cop, or is this Black Mask, do you think?
I'm not sure who this guy is. I mean, in the context of it, you first look at him and you think, oh, this guy's a cop, because she's at a sort of interrogation table with handcuffs and everything.
But it's a broke down,
but it's
room.
Clearly, a very nasty industrial setting. It doesn't look like a regular police interrogation setting.
Now, this could be interpreted in a bad way,
right?
So I'm gonna preface with it isn't. I wouldn't mind if you zipped up your top all the way. But what I'm about to tell you is, I think it's gonna be cool to see people cosplay as Copperhead.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a really cool outfit. I like the. It looks like she has either a snake tattoo or a snake wrap over there. These arms with the 2 fangs on the tips and the black eye, black eye paint, and then that tattoo in the center of her chest.
I could see like this Halloween, maybe Colin Moriarty.
That seems like a good Colin costume.
Like this.
Yeah, Colin. He loves cosplay. There she is. Breakdown. You get those snake eyes. That's gonna be another one too.
Yeah.
You get those snake eye contacts. In
I mean, it could even be in this case like maybe this is a packet for the intended 8th assassin.
Right.
Maybe Copperhead's like, no, I want that, and she takes out the other guy and now picks up the packet and is saying, oh, I want to take on this job now.
A real interesting thing I noticed when I was going through there, that they use this graphic for some reason here, and it says Deadshot, and it's got his ego down there, Floyd and stuff. It's like,
yeah,
just reusing assets.
You are really doing your homework.
You know what? I'm pretty good at Rewind Theaters, and I'm also good at talking about Smallville and Nashville. Anything with a villain in it, I'm pretty good at.
When are we doing the Nashville Rewind?
I can't. Steve, don't get me started. I will Nashville this place up. So much good coverage. So now, Batman's here beating up this guy, like you said, mobster. He's starting with, like you'd imagine, just normal thugs. But as you look around here, you have what looks to be like a sci-fi setting over there. This little examining light over there too. I'm talking about the right screen. If you're doing a little thing here, blah blah. But then as we get going, we have a chair there. I'll get back to that in 1 second, and then we get a good shot of it here in a sec. Copperhead. There you go. A movie camera.
Yep.
See, they're finding us some kind of set here.
That's exactly what I noticed when I saw this too. It is very clearly meant to be like a horror sci-fi movie set.
Right. And so you go forward. They got some skulls over there in the background that are in some kind of like governor's chamber from Walking Dead. Spoilers if you haven't read the comics. What's your problem? Read the comics.
Right.
Watch the show.
Well, they're really behind if they haven't got that far.
I know. You'd be surprised about. We'll talk about that off air. Now she starts trying to. Batman gets drugged in this. She starts poking at him here. It looks like he blocks that one.
Right.
Then she starts trying to choke him out. Then she kicks him in the face and floats down.
That's not going to go well.
No. And then I believe it's right here. Yeah, because he groans here. I have it marked here. Let's dial it back. Like it seems this interaction, she comes around.
Yep.
And gets him right there on the side
of the face.
Right there on the cheek.
Yep.
Ping. Yeah, there you go. I like his face.
Pulls the mouth aside.
That's mean too.
It's not good.
And like I said, I'm sure it's the derived venom. Something else I noticed here, and now rewind theaters are all about over-examination.
Right.
This whole setup right here, it made me go back and watch the Joker's VGA teaser, and he is sitting in a chair just like that.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I remember some of it seems like this whole setup here looked really reminiscent of a few Joker bits. Couldn't prove it. I mean, maybe it's a nod, maybe it's just that is what plush chairs look like often. But I thought maybe it was a nice little homage to
I got to say, normally I come into these things to give out the information, but I'm learning.
Well, you gave him the hands-on impressions here.
Right.
The eyes-on of the Comic-Con panel.
Right.
So you're doing pretty good there too. Got the tongue. What did you do to me? I'm drugged. So yeah, probably gonna be. He's got to worry about being paralyzed in 30. It's paralyzation and instantly death in 30 minutes. Batman's got the work cut out for him.
Wow, he's got no Robin and no Batgirl to help him out of this.
No, yeah, that's the other thing. There was talk you said when you came back from the panel that a kid asked about Batgirl. They dodged it. They came on the live show then, them being Eric from WB Montreal,
right.
Roger Craig Smith, the voice of Batman, Troy Baker, the voice of Joker. And we got Eric to actually say that, no, Batgirl's not in this game either. So no Robin, no Batgirl.
Yeah, they were super teasy about that because they said, are Robin and Batgirl going to be in the game? And they said, absolutely no Robin. And we thought,
I think again, ladies and gentlemen, we all know how this works. No Batgirl in the game means that at no point does Barbara don the outfit and go out and be Batgirl. Will Barbara Gordon be in this game? Will she have that moment where she sees the bat symbol and thinks that's totally cool and sketches out what her costume would look like? I can totally see something like that.
One thing they haven't talked about though that I really want to see, given that this is sort of a year to experience, is where's Gordon? Where's the Vigilante Squad? Right?
Yeah,
because there's supposed to be this really interesting tension early in Batman's career where Jim Gordon thinks of Batman as a villain. They're rivals, and Gordon's trying to take him down. And it's only later, after he sort of begins to understand Batman's place in his war on crime, that they're friends and allies and buddies.
Right.
So I really want to see where Gordon is in this game. I mean, you mentioned Barbara. I see her having a much smaller role, but I want to see Batman and Jim Gordon get into it.
I'm sure you will. I could have sworn that I thought they mentioned Captain Gordon at one point or whatever, that he was going to be part of the game. We just didn't know where. But yeah, you got to imagine that's going to come. That's such a crucial part of the Batman. The Batman. But yeah, Steve, it's a good trailer.
It's a really good
Copperhead
trailer.
looks awesome.
And lots of little tiny details for folks to pick out. But they don't have to do it now because we did it for them.
So if you want to know all about this Copperhead and the rest of them, keep it on IGN.